Right after the miraculous crossing of the Red Sea, the Israelites entered the desert of Shur. For 3 days they march without finding water. Finally they arrive at Marah, but the water there is bitter and undrinkable. Frustrated and thirsty, the people complain to Moses. Moses cries out to God, and the Lord shows him a piece of wood. When Moses throws it into the water, the bitterness disappears, and the water becomes sweet. God uses this moment to remind Israel that obedience to him brings healing and provision. Shortly after, they reach Elim, a lush oasis with 12 springs and 70 palm trees. It's a beautiful picture of God's abundant provision after a time of trial. A month into their journey, the Israelites grumble again, this time about food. They reminisce about the good old days in Egypt, forgetting the slavery that came with it. God responds with grace. He promises to rain down bread from heaven. The next morning, the ground is covered with flaky manna, which tastes like honey wafers. In the evening, quail cover the camp, providing meat for the people. God instructs the Israelites to gather just enough manna for each day, except on the 6th day, when they gather twice as much for the Sabbath. This teaches them to rely on God daily and to rest in his provision. When the Israelites arrive at Rephidim, they once again find no water. The people quarrel with Moses, doubting whether God is still with them. God tells Moses to strike a rock at Horeb with his staff. Water gushes out, satisfying the entire nation. Soon after, the Amalekites attack. While Joshua leads the fight, Moses stands on a hill holding the staff of God. As long as Moses' hands are raised, Israel prevails. Aaron and Hur step in, holding Moses' arms up until the battle is won. Moses' father-in-law, Jethro, visits the camp, bringing Moses' wife and children. Jethro notices Moses spending entire days resolving disputes. He advises Moses to delegate, appointing capable men to lead smaller groups and handle minor issues. Moses follows Jethro's advice, creating a system that not only lightens his load, but also strengthens the community's leadership structure. 3 months after leaving Egypt, the Israelites arrive at Mount Sinai. God calls Moses up the mountain, establishing that Israel will be his kingdom of priests and a holy nation. God instructs the people to consecrate themselves, wash their clothes, and prepare for his arrival. On the 3rd day, God descends on the mountain in fire and smoke, accompanied by thunder, lightning, and a loud trumpet blast. From the mountain, God gives the Israelites the 10 Commandments. These laws cover their relationship with God, no other gods honor the Sabbath, and with each other, don't steal, murder, or covet. This forms the foundation of Israel's covenant relationship with God. God provides further instructions on topics like property, personal injuries, and social justice. These laws aim to create a fair and compassionate society, reflecting God's heart for justice and mercy. God also emphasizes rest through the Sabbath and outlines festivals that will remind Israel of his faithfulness. Moses writes down all God's words and builds an altar with 12 stone pillars. Young men offer sacrifices, and Moses sprinkles the blood on the people, sealing the covenant. Moses, Aaron, and 70 elders ascend partway up the mountain, where they see God and eat and drink in his presence, a rare and sacred moment. God calls Moses to ascend the mountain once more, this time staying for 40 days and nights to receive the stone tablets and more detailed instructions for Israel's future.